Hello to everyone watching this. My name is Nicole Jones-Qandah, and I'm the Assistant Director of EMCC World Partners. Good to be with you for this short amount of time. I'm pleased to introduce Marilyn McIlroy, who's an EMCC World Partners Supervised Worker and has a long history with EMCC, so I will encourage her to introduce herself.
Hi, good morning, or good afternoon or evening. It's great to be connecting with you today. And yes, my history in Haiti has been long. I started out as a volunteer in 78, 79, and then I went to full-time 1983 to 1994. And most presently, 2002, I began to reconnect with Haiti as a partner with Health and Community Development with World Partners. So it's been a great journey.
We are excited to share today about the new initiative that we have launched in Gens De Nantes that is listed as Education, Food Security, and Community Mobilization. So what the heck is that all about? Well, let's take you back to the beginning, and I would encourage Marilyn to share some of the history that's brought us to this point in this new initiative.
First, I'd like to say thank you for your interest in this new initiative. It is really exciting. I am thrilled to be able to be part of that. As I said, back in 2002, we reconnected with Haiti as world partners, and it's been a privilege. Some of you have participated in teams to Haiti. And so back prior to 2010, I was with a team from our Cross Connections Church in Chilliwack. And during that time, we met in Gens De Nantes with the church there, the local church, Pastor Andre, Madame Andre. We met with schools. We just visited the community. We were at the clinic. We did a number of things. One of the things that hugely impacted the Cross Connections team was the words that Pastor Andre said. We have a cornerstone for a school, but those that promised to help us with the school didn't come back and bother to follow through. And so that heart cry, the need for a school, was huge with Pastor Andre. And so the Cross Connections church folks went back home. They started to fundraise, and they wanted to help with an actual physical building. Now, I need to tell you that the school had been running for years, many years, and they were meeting in the church building. And that was just a zoo with about, well, let's say 200 to 400 students, all learning in one building with the classrooms separated by bed sheets. So a building was actually necessary. And so thank you to Cross Connections for that partnership. Other churches have come alongside. And back in about 10 years ago, with that building in completed and the school functioning, the government actually provided funds for the Gens De Nantes school, and other schools who were funded by NGOs had some funding, but this funding was about $20,000, and then probably 5 years ago, that funding was cut. The government made changes and decided that the funding would go to the public school system. And so all of the private schools across Haiti lost that funding. And that meant that Gens De Nantes was coming to a point where they would decide whether or not to close the school because they were unable to pay their teachers. In 2018, we had a team from another church, our Albright Church in Winnipeg. And at that time, we were looking at what are the needs. Albright was interested in knowing what the needs of the community was. And so we had a community meeting, and that was really exciting. We invited the local church people. We invited folks who were involved in agriculture, those who were involved in school and the clinic. And out of that, we came to the realization that education in Haiti was a priority, and education in their community was a priority.
From that meeting in 2018, the AEM Gens De Nantes School, Pastor Andre, Madame Andre, Frere Richard, school directors and teachers were continuing to be generous to families who couldn't afford to send their kids to school. They were allowing kids to come and learn for free without payment of fees or uniforms. And that just shows the generosity of the church and their investment in the community. Marilyn and I got to experience that again on another level in 2019 when we went to Gens De Nantes specifically and took Albright, our EMCC church from Winnipeg, with us to go on a listening tour to discern what God was saying through the leaders in Gens De Nantes, through the community and church leaders who were listening to God's Spirit and who knew their community well. We were blessed to have the president and a vice president from the AEM, our church partner in Haiti, join us for those couple days. And what was revealed was the ways in which God has actually uniquely resourced Gens De Nantes. And it was a beautiful time of prayer and fellowship together for our leaders in Gens De Nantes and our brothers and sisters to express their vision for a thriving community and some of the challenges that they face. And it was a beautiful time to share mutually together with one another. And what came out of that again was an affirmation of education as a key piece of community building, in addition to investing in the health of families of individuals, as well as agriculture and food security. Haiti is currently ranked 169th of 189 countries on the Human Development Index, and it has one of the highest levels of chronic food insecurity in the world. And so that helps as a backdrop for the ways in which the leaders in Gens De Nantes are advocating for different types of investment. And so leaving that trip, feeling blessed by a sense of being brothers and sisters in Christ, we've worked through all of 2020 in the middle of a pandemic to be able to conceptualize what their vision for the community could look like in terms of a chance for us as EMCC churches to partner. We're grateful for those that have been part of this history and that it's been EMCC churches across the country. What that's led us to is this new initiative that I've previously described as education, food security, and community mobilization. And while that's a mouthful, it's the heart behind the initiative is essentially that investment in one area of a community affects the whole. And so what does it look like when we choose to invest in multiple areas of the community for a thriving picture? And so I would invite Marilyn to explain a little bit about what the education and investment of this initiative looks like.
What has been decided is that, as we heard, there are students coming to school whose parents are not able to fund them. And so 3 to 5 students have been chosen from each class age group, and they are being brought into the school to be educated. And there are classrooms from pre-kindergarten all the way to the end of middle school. And so 50 students have been brought into the school, and the parents of those students are required then to participate in education, in practical training around the farming God's way methods. So this is conservation agriculture. And it's not about their big gardens out on the hill, if they have any. It's about a 1 meter by 2 meter garden plot in their front yard, a piece of ground that looks really dry, and it's just dirt. There is nothing green to it. But by encouraging them, so Frere Ernso, our Farming God's Way trainer, is working alongside these parents, these families, to make that 1 by 2 meter plot of ground green. So they're learning about composting. They're learning about gathering manure from the roadsides, and gathering leaves and sticks, and creating God's blanket, and creating compost so that that plot of ground can actually produce green crops, so that children will be eating green leafy vegetables and carrots and pumpkin that helps with vision, and all of those vitamin complete pieces of bits of produce. Also, there are the students in the middle school, grades 7, 8, and 9. They are learning about farming God's way right in the classroom. So Aaron So is teaching. He's not only the trainer of Farming God's Way, but he teaches in the high school. And so they're learning about farming methods. They're learning that God helps us and he sustains us and he sustains our land and desires to see that we have fruitful ground and that we have fruitful gardens. And so it's exciting. They also are doing practicum. You have pictures there of a wonderful green piece of property that is being used for students to learn also how to compost and do God's blanket and so forth. So it's pretty exciting to see this collaborative effort. 50 students, that means 50 families are being trained in how to grow crops that are nourishing.
It's exciting to consider how the sponsorship of teachers and being able to care for these most vulnerable students also allows us to be able to connect with families. And part of the great promise of this initiative, or something that gets my heart excited, is this idea of community mobilization, that those teachers that are teaching in the schools and teaching these students will also be the ones to follow up month by month with these family members as they seek to put their kitchen gardens together. And why is that important? It's important because the school leadership in the past has said that they want more connection to the parents and caregivers of the students that are coming every day. And so it's a chance for all of these leaders, both for Aaron So as our Farming God's Way teacher, trainer, as well as a teacher at the school, the teachers at the school and the parents, to all be able to know one another. And I'm certainly looking forward to how these secondary school students who have Farming God's Way in their curriculum will learn practically at school and be able to help their parents in implementing this kitchen garden at home. And so there's a chance to invest on a number of levels. And certainly as this gets off the ground, being able to invest in Farming God's Way, both the biblical principles and the management and technical principles in the curriculum, is a new way of farming. It is a new way to consider how to invest in the ground, and it's done out of the conviction that God is an all-sufficient God and that there are always resources for us to put our hands to. And so the prayer is that this message, not only in terms of being able to demonstrate a new way of farming that is able to provide for families' food needs, but also that the biblical principles would be deep rooted in the families' hearts as well. And so we look forward to how all of these pieces of investment from various leaders will work together for a chance for someone like Erlinda Philogen, who's our global partner representative in Haiti, to have a conversation with the community overall. That in fact, just as we had that community conversation in 2018, that there would be community conversations as a result of this initiative. And again, all with the idea in mind of what does a thriving community of Gens De Nantes look like. And we're excited to partner with that vision that these leaders in Gens De Nantes have.
I would just like to add that Erlinda had a wonderful example of how this Farming God's Way education initiative can really impact those who aren't yet followers of Jesus in the community. She happened to be working one day at the clinic. She works as an administrator there, and she met a family who the mother had just been consulted. She was pregnant with her 13th child, and Erlinda asked if they were going to school. And the lady said, no, we can't possibly afford to send in any of our children. Maybe one or two have gone periodically to the government school. Erlinda asked if they were followers of Jesus, and they did not even follow, did not regularly attend the Catholic Church even. And so Erlinda shared with me that inviting those students to be part of our AEM school, of the AEM school in Gens De Nantes, is an opportunity to share the love of Jesus with families, with the children. And when the children go home, they share those Bible stories with their parents. And they have seen historically many families come to the Lord Jesus through the ministry of the school. And so I bless this school, this community, this church for living as Jesus would, following the ways of Jesus, and sharing faith and hope with their community.
So we look forward to having more conversations with you. We thank you for the time today, and we ask that you would continue to pray for those names that we've mentioned in this video and the community of Gens De Nantes as a whole, that just as we are seeking to follow Jesus in our own communities and neighborhoods, that they would continue to feel the encouragement from us as brothers and sisters in Canada in the ways in which they're journeying with Jesus and demonstrating the gospel in their community. So again, if you want more information, feel free to head to emcc.ca/world partners/what we do and click on the pink integrating development tab. And in there, you will see a list of projects. This project is called Education, Food Security, and Community Mobilization. That's where you'll see the targets that we've set for this initiative. They certainly are ambitious, and we know it is in the middle of COVID. So we're grateful for the ways in which God might call you to sacrificially give, and believing that those simple gifts will have a big impact. Feel free to get in touch with me at njones@emcc.ca and be able to find Marilyn listed under our mission workers and partners to get in touch with her as well. So thank you so much for giving us a portion of your time today. And we look forward to hearing how God is speaking to you, both through the story of our brothers and sisters in Haiti and what it might mean for your journey with Jesus.